now than it used to.
I don't know if it does, actually.
I think that when people hear that Scentsy started on a sheep farm, they think of some like New Zealand Vic spread, or like we're a bunch of like multi-generational sheep farmers from eastern Idaho. But it was actually just, we had this 2.5 acres. Yeah, so when we first picked up the stuff from Kara and Colette down in Utah.
May 1st, 2004.
Yeah.
We brought it home to this container. And I remember thinking, I hope Kara and Colette never come to visit.
Yeah.
And see where we brought their baby, you know. You met Kara and Colette at one of your other fairs and shows.
Yeah, I was selling products at the home show in Salt Lake, and when I met them, and they had started the business just a few months before. But that was 2004 when we met, March of 2004. At the end of 2003, we hit a really tough spot where we were down to about $20,000 of cash and credit, but our debt was piled up. So we owed about $1.1 million worth of loans with an average interest rate of 20%, maybe more. I mean, I watched my dad lose a business and work for 10 years to pay off debts instead of going bankrupt. And I just couldn't face my dad if I went bankrupt.
Being $700,000 in debt and seeing this really as our only way to, dig out. And we could see how others were excited about the product as much as we were when we saw it. And so that was the motivation, was there were others that we now were helping. And if we gave up, then we were letting a bunch of people down. Our kids played here, slept here, ate here. Yeah, they did everything here. And so our kids had a different growing up than a lot of other kids.
Let's give us a big one.
My name is Grace Goubet.
My name is Owen Thompson.
I am Emma Bench.
I feel like the way that my parents approached Scentsy was very much like it is our family thing.
I mean, the thing is, my mom, you know, she never left my dad to it and was like, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go take the kids. And they both were up until 6 a.m. Like, I remember they woke us up that morning and the sun was coming up, I remember. And I remember getting home and like crawling in bed with them as they went to sleep at 7 a.m. They'd get a few hours and then go back, you know?
I can't talk about my parents or my family without getting teary-eyed. I am my mother's daughter. So I think that sometimes they're hard on themselves, thinking that we sacrificed a lot of our childhood for them to be able to do this. But I kind of think the opposite. When I think back on my childhood, I only have fond memories. I only feel grateful to them for what they did for us.
Everything blended. We and our family, it was a family affair. I couldn't leave the kids at home and come here and work.
I feel like the connection that my siblings and I have now, I feel like a lot of that came from all of the time we spent together in the office in the early days.
I mean, if you think about it, this was a farm. My dad really liked farming and wanted to keep it going. And my mom and dad would be working like crazy in the office. And then the next thing you know, there's a ewe who's given birth. And my dad goes out there and is helping this ewe give birth, like in the middle of working. I don't remember this part, but my sisters always reference that he had a cheeseburger in one hand. So he was helping this ewe give birth, you know, and had a cheeseburger in the other hand.
Dad had his fairs and shows friends always give him toys.
Oh yeah, we had
Remember
those
the little
wobbly things.
Yeah, the little wobbly scooters.
Another one of our phrases that employees probably heard when we as toddlers were in the bathroom was, "Another roll of toilet paper, please." That was our phrase. It was like you had to say it like that.
Another roll of toilet paper, please.
Another roll of toilet paper, please. And you just chant that out if you had no more toilet paper, and then someone would bring toilet paper.
I remember getting
And
goose eggs
you
all
got
the
goose eggs
time.
all the time. Because Grace, when she was fast enough to run but not coordinated, so she'd be like, running. I'm gonna go in this room. And just turn and be like a foot too early. And she just, boom. I bet people working early on were like, what is going on?
Yeah, what are
Like
these
just,
kids
so
doing?
she'd have a big blue bump on her forehead. So we'd call her Rhino.
Yeah.
We'd call her,
did,
hey Rhino.
I forgot about that.
Do you remember when photo booth came out?
Oh my gosh.
We would go on and just take photo booth pictures, like twist our face on their work computer, like on these
All the
people
time.
all the time.
Like in the moment, they were like any other kid, even though their life was quite different than most kids. But I do think that their relationship now is a reflection, of the time that we did all spend together building Scentsy.
We don't see lines. Our economic life, our religious life, our social life, our family life is just our life. And that has brought so many like warm blessings to us now that our kids are adults.
I always imagine if I were to go work somewhere else, I'd always say, something I've learned is to work like your parents own the place. To me, there's a legacy that my parents built. There's there's people who depend on it, and I've grown up to see the obligation to work harder than I could in anything else, because they worked so hard to build it.
Scentsy is our family, and because we grew up with Scentsy at such a core time in our life, I feel like all of us have a appreciation for it and a duty to it. The work-life balance part I've got down a little bit more than my dad.
I think what's been fun is, as each of us have kind of, like Mary is not here because she is about to have a baby. We're kind of all are stepping in and stepping up whenever we can. So, and I think it's kind of fun because we're in the same phase as my parents were when they started Scentsy. And so we're kind of seeing exactly what it was like for them to juggle kids and try to contribute.
Because I look back at the puzzle, solving our debt puzzle and our business puzzle was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, our kids look back at it with fond memories. We look back at it with fond memories. I wouldn't trade it for the world.